Well, welcome back. This week, the nation will pay its final respects to Senator Lindsey Graham, who served in the Senate for nearly 24 years. And before that, 8 years in the House. Graham also served in our great nation's military, in the Air Force for 33 years, retiring with the rank of colonel in 2015. On Tuesday, a private funeral service will be held at the U.S. Capitol and Washington National Cathedral, followed by Wednesday's proceedings with Graham laid to rest in Pickens County, South Carolina. Joining me now is Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson, who has succeeded Lindsey Graham as the new chairman of the Senate Budget Committee. Senator, it's great to have you this morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Morning, Maria. Thanks for having me on.
And you have a lot on your shoulders right now as chairman of the Senate Budget Committee, and I want to get to all of that in just a moment. But first, give me your reaction to what you just heard from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as you come up with offsets to pay for this war.
Well, first of all, I've always supported Israel's ability to defend itself. I'm not sure when you're a nation and you are invaded and 1,200 of your citizens are slaughtered, and you have great military might. What do the people who conducted that butchery against you? What do they expect when Israel has thousands of missiles lobbed into its country? What do you expect? I can only imagine what America would do if Canada or Mexico would come across the border and butcher an equivalent. By the way, it'd be about 50,000 Americans. I mean, we wipe out those nations. That being said, I am troubled by the voices on the right, who I do not believe are anti-Semites. I'm highly concerned, by the way, of the rise of anti-Semitism. I was with the board members of the Holocaust. I mean, mothers who they have to send their children to highly guarded schools. I mean, it's sick. Okay. But I would caution the prime minister. He ought to be concerned about the rising voices on the right, who I do not believe are anti-Semites, who are now expressing concern about what is happening. Is Israel going too far? Again, I can just imagine what America would do, put in the same situation. Israel's been under threat since its inception. So again, I hate war. I'm sure Netanyahu, I'm sure President Trump hates war. But at some point in time, you have to eliminate these threats.
Let me just underline what the Prime Minister said in answering my last question, because I asked him about concerns in the Democrat Party of anti-Semitism, and he said Democrat politicians and their families are being threatened by this progressive activist. Democrat politicians.
Well, again, I was shocked, and not many things that the radical left does shock me. But after the butchery of October 7th, you have young college students coming out protesting in favor of the butchers of Hamas. Again, that's happening within our educational institutions in this country. Now, again, I think there are a lot of outside agitators. It wasn't in every campus, but this is a growing concern. I mean, this is troubling to say the least.
Okay. Let me move on to the business at hand, and that is, of course, your budget work. The House passed a stopgap funding bill that would extend federal funding through December 4th in an attempt to avoid another government shutdown, which your colleagues on the left are threatening again. But, of course, Senate Democrats are trying to look for a potential clean continuing resolution and avoid a shutdown fight heading into the midterms. I want to get your take on that, as well as your work on Reconciliation 3.0. And we know that the parliamentarian is going to come and say we can't have a Reconciliation 3.0 with no spending cuts. So where are you coming up with the offsets to what the House advanced, a $95 billion Reconciliation 3.0 budget resolution? The passage in the Senate is unclear.
Well, first, let's recognize that Democrats have been obnoxiously obstructionists since President Trump took office. They refused to nominate or confirm his nominees. We had to end the 60-vote threshold on that just so we could staff his administration. They shut down the government for 42 days. They shut down DHS, refused to fund CBP and ICE. They completely blew up the appropriation process as hard as Susan Collins was trying to work with Patty Murray to fund the government. Then they voted against the motion to proceed to the National Defense Authorization Act. That's never happened in our history. So again, Democrats apparently want chaos. They think that'll help them gain power in the election. And so at some point in time, Republicans are going to have to recognize, we don't control the Senate because we still have that 60-vote threshold. We have a majority in the Senate. We have a majority in the House. We have the presidency. America's expecting us to govern, and we're going to have to recognize Democrats will not help us do it, and we're going to have to do things on our own. That's why we're talking about a reconciliation 3.0, which will not be easy to do. It's going to be a very small needle to thread. I've been talking to my colleagues. There's a number of different viewpoints. Some people are going to demand that it's being paid for. The House passed a resolution that pays for nothing. By the way, we've never paid for a defense supplementary before in our past. We didn't pay for the hundreds of billions to Ukraine. Yep. When we pass those supplementals, are we going to do it when our own members, the finest among us, are in harm's way? We've already lost 18 military members during, since the Iran conflict began. So, again, I'm a fiscal hawk. I would love to pay for everything, but if we want to get a result, I'm going to try and thread that needle, and there's going to be multiple viewpoints from my Republican colleagues. We can only afford to lose 3.
Yeah, no, but I spoke with Jody Arrington the other day, the chairman of the budget in the committee in the House. He said you and he talked about a lot of offsets. So give me 1 or 2 offsets.
Well, again, yeah, Jody would love to have us at least pay for the agriculture part of that. You open up we provide instructions to the agriculture committee, then all of a sudden you reopen up the reforms we did with SNAP, which actually have worked pretty well. If you want to do things like Medicaid and Medicare, you have to instruct finance. That opens up all those things. And I think there's a great fear on our side that if we open up those committees, there will be amendments that we just might lose, and we could roll back what meager reforms did. By the way, we were falsely accused of slashing Medicaid, right? Cutting it to the bone. According to the Wall Street Journal, Medicaid spending is up 10% year over year. 10%.
Senator,
so again,
are you going to be able to get the Save America Act over the finish line by the midterm elections? We just saw 6,600 illegals in New Jersey were registered to vote. The governor told us hundreds of those people did, in fact, vote in the last 2 elections. Will you get the Save America Act across the finish line?
I'm fully supportive of it. In order to get the full Save America Act, we'd have to end the filibuster. I don't think we have the votes for that right now. If we use reconciliation, I think we go a long way toward doing things like election integrity.
And what are you expecting from Anthony Fauci, who will also testify in front of your committee this week?
I think he'll be very forgetful, completely unrepentant, arrogant. Arrogant to the extreme. Don't expect to get much out of him, but I'm going to try and lay out all the things that he did that were such a miserably failed response to COVID.
Senator, we've got so much to talk about. You've got so much work, whether it be the House stopgap funding bill, Reconciliation 3.0, the supplemental, the NDAA. What's your priority?
Well, again, we need to fund the government. I think Democrats will do that with a CR, pretty simple one. So we've got to do that. From my standpoint, I still want COVID reckoning.
You want to go back to pre-COVID spending, and you want a COVID reckoning as well. From Anthony Fauci. Senator, thank you so much. Good to see you this morning. Ron Johnson. We'll be right back.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.